Hello folks, welcome to Outdoors with Bud. I'm your host, Bud Fields. Well, hey, I hope everybody had a very Merry Christmas with your family and your friends, and this new year of 2025 is off to a good start for you. First of all, I want to apologize for being absent from the podcast. We had 26, 27, maybe 28 people in our house for a surprise birthday party for me on Halloween, on Christmas Eve, and then for Christmas celebration. And everybody got sick a couple days later. And if you've read very many of my past articles or watched some of my other podcasts, I'm always advocating getting more people involved in the sport of deer hunting. And that includes youth, and I'd like to see a bunch of ladies get involved. And the lady I've got coming on here today, actually there was two ladies I was trying to get on the show. The other one is my grandson's girlfriend. She went deer hunting for her first time this year, and she harvested a beautiful, I think it was a 9 or a 10-point buck the first time she went out. And I invited her on, and she was very shy and bashful. She said she was nervous to get in front of a camera. And the young lady that I've invited today, my wife and I have always considered her as a bonus granddaughter. She's a member of our family. She might not admit it, but I'm proud to admit it. Kelsey Roller. And what I wanted her to do was come on and kind of relive some of her experience this year of deer hunting. And Kelsey, welcome to the program. And what inspired you to begin with to become a lady deer hunter?
Well, thank you for inviting me. I have been wanting to go hunting for like years.
Mm-hmm.
I asked my dad to take me when I was little, and he didn't have anywhere to take us, so just never went. And then my boyfriend's family goes hunting all the time, so I was like, well, maybe I'll try this out. I wasn't sure how it was going to go, so we just got me a buck tag. So I was like, I don't know, I don't want to pay for the whole thing if I don't like hunting. So I went out with him. We probably went out like 4 times. We only saw doe. But I was getting really excited. I was like, okay, I kind of like this. I'm excited. We went to a couple different spots, and then we finally started seeing bucks. The first time we saw one, I shot at it and I missed, but I was still really excited. So we went out again.
There's no disgrace in that.
Yeah.
There's not a deer in the woods that I cannot miss.
So yeah, gave it another shot. I was looking out the window. We're in this little shack, and all of a sudden there's a deer. It came out of nowhere. So my boyfriend Charles was like, what are you doing? Get the gun, get it ready. And by the time I had it like up and ready on my shoulder, the deer was gone. So it's like, okay, well, we'll try again tomorrow morning. So we went out the very next morning. We got there later than anticipated, but it was fine. The sun was coming up, and we were about 10 yards away from our shack, and there was a deer. He was like, get your gun ready, let's go. So I took a shot at it, and I got it, which was super exciting. So we went in the shack and got warm for a couple minutes, and then we went out and tracked it. I was really excited. I was nervous going in. I thought I would be like emotional with killing a deer, but I was super excited. I'm still super excited. So next year I'm going to try to get 3 of them, fill up the freezer. So it was fun. I've always wanted to field dress a deer, so I watched this time, so next time I can take a stab at it. I really enjoyed cooking up the meat in different ways. No one else in my family eats it, so good for me.
I'm in your family, and I eat it.
That's true. My mom won't let me hang this up on the wall, so I'm going to hang this up in my house someday.
Now this is what a lot of the people refer to the European mount. Now you can get, if you get a buck, you can have a full body mount if you want it and can afford it, or you can just have like a head and shoulder mount. Or a lot of people started going with this. It's basically just the skull, but it's got the antlers still on it. And of course, doing something like this is much more economical than having the full mounts and everything. But this is very nice. As you can see, it's a 7-pointer. It's got 4 points on this side and 3 on the other. But like I've always told people, I mean, the antlers are nice, but you can't eat antlers. And she had mentioned about her father there for, I don't know, 25 or 30 years. I used to tour around the state of Indiana conducting deer hunting seminars for Rural Kings, Walmarts, Dick's Sporting Goods, Dunham Sporting Goods, and MC Sports. And I was conducting a couple seminars in the Kokomo area, and her father brought her in to my seminar. And I had a table set up in the sporting goods section and I had everything that I use for deer hunting. I mean, I'm talking about knives, hatchets, human scent control products, and all this. And when Kelsey come in, a lot of times when the crowd comes in and I'm starting to talk about my tips and techniques, I kind of canvass the crowd and I can get an idea who's really interested. Well, when Kelsey come in, I mean, right now, I mean, she was all ears. She was wanting to know everything that she could learn about it, and that made me feel pretty good. And then, of course, there's always questions and answers, and she asked me some pretty good questions that I thought, especially for a beginner and being a female, you know, how many women do you know is going to go out and buy scent control products to put on you that smells like a skunk or deer urine? My wife always told me that when she would buy whatever that little bottle of Chanel number 5 was for like $5 or $6 then, I don't know what it is now, I would raise heck with her and I say, you're going to pay that much money for that little bottle? And I would buy a gallon of fox urine for like $40. Now, I never did want her to know how much I paid for that, but I knew right then and there, by the way she was showing the interest, that she was really interested in becoming a hunter. And I just told myself then, I said, that lady has got possibilities, and I think she can make a good deer hunter, and she's proved me right. And now when you was talking about missing the deer, that's easy to do whether you hunt with a firearm or with a bow or anything. And I've had shots at deer that I wish that I would have had my cameraman with me because I would look like I was really good.
Yeah.
But then I've missed deer from here to where our camera is in front of me, missed the whole deer completely, and I thought, how did I miss that animal? But that's part of deer hunting. And let me ask you another question, not to embarrass you, but when you seen your first deer, did your heart rate increase?
Probably.
Due to excitement?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times, a lot of the people refer to that as buck fever. And that when it comes time, and if I ever go deer hunting and I don't get this buck fever, and that's just a bundle of nerves where you want to succeed so badly, and you're afraid you're going to mess up, and you're going to make stupid mistakes. That's going to happen. That's just part of deer hunting. But if it ever gets to where I go deer hunting and I don't get that buck fever, I'm going to hang it up. And this year marked my 60th year of deer hunting. And I was telling her earlier, after I saw this Euro mount about her buck that she got, maybe I ought to take lessons off of her because she got a nice buck, and I ended up getting 2 does this year. But that's part of deer hunting. But I've always thought that we needed more ladies to get involved in hunting. Now, my wife doesn't hunt. She likes to hunt. I mean, she likes to camp and fish, but she don't say anything about me going hunting. But if she ever took a notion that she wanted to hunt, I would get her anything and everything that she needed, in which most of it I've already got. If you've ever been in my den, everything is hunting. But I think there needs to be more women involved. And about what time did you say you shot your deer in the morning, and you were what, maybe 2 or 3 hours, and you was done? I mean,
yeah, I don't even know if it was that long. So we had just gotten there, took the shot, waited a couple minutes, and then we tracked her down, and tracked him down, obviously. It didn't go super far, so we were there. Charles field dressed him, and then his dad came to pick us up, and then we took it back to his parents' house, and we processed it there, which was really cool.
That's great.
Really cool process to see. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't make this out of my deer, but Charles got another deer, and I made some like moisturizer out of it, out of the fat, which could be appealing to some other ladies if you want to get into some hunting. But I've had some family members try it, and I brought it to work and had people try it, and they love it. So I'm really looking forward to being more sustainable with my hunting and using as many parts of it as I can. I think that's really fun, and I've been getting more into that as well.
So I think it would be safe assumption to say that you're going to go again?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, that was good. At least you had somebody to go out there with you. my first deer hunt, the first deer I ever seen in the woods, in the live like that, I had actually got cold and I was headed back to the vehicle. I rode up with a couple of my buddies. I was totally lost. I was headed in the wrong direction. And when it got daylight, I felt like I had icicles hanging off my chin. And I thought, well, if I walk out to this, they called it a fire lane, walk back and forth a couple of times, I would warm up. Well, I walked out there and I turned to walk down that lane and I thought, heck with this, it's too cold, I'm going to the truck. I was going the wrong way. And I looked up and here come a deer running right up the fire lane right to me. And right now I got warmed up. I mean, my heart got to pounding. And I dropped to my knee and I was shooting a bow and I raised the bow up and I drew it back and there was no skill involved. I mean, I thought there was, but there wasn't. I think that deer actually stepped into the arrow because I saw the arrow hit the deer. I saw the deer run. It ran maybe 15 yards and boom. And I thought, good. Well, then I had a daylight scared out of me because somebody patted me on the back and I didn't know anybody was around. But there was a guy, he asked me, he said, how long have you been deer hunting? And I said, well, about 3 hours. And he said, that was a heck of a shot that you made on that deer. And he said, we need to field dress it. And I looked at him and I said, what? He said, we need to field dress it. And I didn't know what field dressing was. Well, then he explained to me, you got to take a knife and you got to cut the insides out of it. I didn't even have a knife. I mean, I didn't know I was going to get a deer. I mean, first day in the woods. And I suppose you had a knife, though. No, you had your boyfriend, and he had the knife. Oh, well, you had a caddy. and hey, that's fantastic. But when I shot that deer, I thought, man, I'm bad. I mean, first deer I ever seen, and I'm a great white hunter. Well, I found out there was an archery shop in town, so I visited. Well, I walked in there. I mean, I walked in, all puffed up. Hey, I'm a great deer hunter. Well, the guy got to talking to me, and he said, well, what kind of a bow was you shooting? And I told him, well, that was not the brand that he sold. I mean, he was in the business to sell a particular model of a bow, and if you didn't shoot that, you were crazy. But I brought my bow in, and he said, you killed a deer with this? I said, yeah. There was things that you needed to have on your bow that I didn't have. I mean, I bought the bow the night before deer season come in. I took it out, and for one thing, he said, like the nocking point. Well, I found out later the nocking point is a little thing that fits on the bowstring that you locate your arrow, where you locate it the same place, not too high or too low. I didn't have that. And when I pulled it back, I just thought, let it go. Well, then I got to thinking, there was no skill involved in that. But that created a fire inside of me that was like in October of 1964. And like I say, this last year, I was out there for my 60th year. And I was just as excited that opening morning last year as I was in 1964. And I don't think I'm ever going to lose it. And it's, you talked about your other members of your family doesn't eat deer. That it's not really an acquired taste, but a lot of times where the animal was shot, now I'm comparing like states like Michigan, the deer that I shoot in Michigan, they taste completely different because they're on a different diet up there. As far as there's no crops, there's no beans, there's no corn like we've got in Indiana. They're eating barks off the tree and everything.
Sure.
And that does affect the taste of the deer. Plus, the deer here in Indiana is crop fed, and it's hard to beat the taste of that. And golly, I mean, I was so excited and thankful when you contacted me and you said you wanted to come over and tell me about your deer. And I would just like to encourage you to just keep it up. You're going to have good times out there. Then you're going to be out there sometime and say, "What am I doing?" That's part of hunting.
Yeah.
But if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
That's right. And
it can't be too hard because I'm still doing it. But if there's any ladies out there that's going to be watching the podcast, which I'm sure there will be, what kind of encouragement can you give those people? I mean, maybe you can even tell me how I can get my wife started hunting. And trust me, I've tried in 60 years.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm good enough to do that. I would just encourage to try it once and see how you're feeling. Because like I said, I wasn't completely sure how I would feel if I'd be like emotional, but I ended up being really excited and I'm really excited to go again. So try it and see if you like it.
Well, I always told my wife, I said, well, why don't you just go out and sit in the tree with me, let you see it. Well, she don't want to go out in the dark, you know, for one thing. And she told me that one time, she said, well, if I seen a deer come in, she said, I'd probably scream. And not so much that she was up scaring her, but she didn't want the deer to be shot. And I think I kind of jokingly told her, well, you better make it a good one because it might be the last time. You know? But deer hunting is so fun. It can be rewarding. It's quite an accomplishment. Now, you was hunting with a firearm. Do you remember what kind of gun you was using?
Creedmoor.
Creedmoor, what, 6.5?
I think it was 4.5. Was that an option?
Let's see.
Maybe 6.5. I don't know.
I think there's a 5.6 and 6.5. I'm not up too much on that, but
I have no idea.
have you ever considered bow hunting or anything like that?
I've never really shot a bow. I mean, I would try it and see how it goes.
Well, I know a guy. If you ever want to try that or a crossbow.
Yeah.
But I'd even go out there and throw rocks at them if I could.
Yeah.
And there's days I could probably be just as effective throwing the rocks. But hey, I want to thank you for taking time out today and coming in and being my guest. And like I say, you can probably start rehearsing your Academy Award speech, you know. And ladies, if there's anybody out there that's interested, hey, don't be bashful. You might even be doing your husband a favor. I've had stories, guys, that told me that they don't want their wives hunting with them. And the one guy, he said he had tried for like 10 or 15 years. He could not get his wife interested in hunting. Finally, out of the clear blue sky, she decides, I'll go. Well, he borrowed a shotgun off of a friend of his. And it was an old shotgun. It had electrical tape on it and duct tape on it, and it was not really, I don't think I'd really trust anybody to shoot that, but that's the only thing they could come up with. And they all went together and they got some insulated underwear for her to wear. And when they pulled up there, she said, I'm just going to go over here and sit along this fence line. And he said, well, that's probably the better, because if she freezes out, she's going to go back to the vehicle.
Right.
Well, all the guys went out there and they come back and she was sitting inside of the vehicle, and they thought, yeah, you got cold, didn't you? She said, yeah. She said, I got cold. And he said, well, what time did you come back? She said, well, I've been here over an hour. And he said, well, did you see any deer? She said, I seen one. And he said, was it too far away? She said, no, it's right behind the vehicle. She shot a deer that come walking right up that fence line, and she's sitting on the ground against the fence post with this taped up shotgun. And she raised it up. She'd never shot that gun before in her life. And boom, that buck it dropped right there. Well, there was two guys walking on the other side of the field. They heard that shot, and they come over, and she's still sitting there shaking with the buck fever. Well, they helped her field dress that deer, and then they drug it over to the vehicle. And her husband and this other guy, they looked at each other like, why didn't we sit there? You know. But that's the way it happens. Deer hunting can be so fun. How we doing on time? Pretty good? Okay, well, I know she said she had some homework to do, and golly, young'un, I'm so proud of you, and maybe I'm going to take lessons off you, and I'm going to get me a buck next year.
Well, I don't know if my lessons are that good, but
Well,
thanks
I
for
appreciate
having
it,
me.
and thank you for being on the show. And
Absolutely.
folks, I want to thank you for tuning in, and I hope I didn't sound very scratchy. My voice is finally coming back, but that's part of being outdoors and having fun. So, hey, I want to thank you for coming in here, and we'll see you down the road, and God bless you.